Spoiler warning for episode 16. So recall that the party's goal was in these caverns looking for Lady Emoth, who is this kind of goo woman that they want to capture to use as evidence for the upper echelons of society's wrongdoing. They're going to give this evidence to the Green Seekers, and they can use this to kind of exonerate themselves, the party can, and also incriminate the bad oligarchs. So most of the party is outside in this chamber dealing with some shade creepers, but inside the main chamber is Chetney, invisible, with Lady Emoth right there in sight. But there's also Slug Mummy. This is the Shade Mother. Picture like a big kind of caterpillar larvae style creature, 60 foot in length, and it's up on the walls with this humanoid torso coming out the front of it. This creature starts communicating with Chetney and says, "Have you come here for the anointment?" Now, Slug Mummy, the Shade Mother, is communicating via telepathy. This is quite terrifying. Chetney bails, heads back to the rest of the group and explains what's going on, and they formulate a plan. Their plan is to go in there, cause a big ruckus with one of Gus's fireballs, Gus being one of the two Green Seekers with them, and then Ollie who's the other Green Seeker, has this special kind of amber device, like a little ball that you could press into somebody's chest, and this is what they use to kind of arrest people. It will surround them in a big orange ball, and then they can be transported, just kind of rolled along like a big, inefficient, legally distinct Pokeball. Communicating telepathically, the Shade Mother actually makes contact with them, and they manage to ask a few questions. They ask, "Hey, what is your goal?" And the Shade Mother says, "I want family. I want to bring everything into a family. I want to share my love so that all can be one mind and one blood to climb up and bring us all together." When the party as a whole enter the main chamber, they see a couple of things. For one, Lady Emoth is gone. She is hidden somewhere in the room. The Shade Mother has moved, kind of repositioned to be cradling this purple glowing stone in the chamber. She seems protective of it, whatever it is. And there's also these two husk-style creatures, like the shells of humans, the shells of people who were manipulating specific kind of devices out there, and they're going to be combatants in this fight as well. They kind of hee-haw around a bit, and Matt is really making it clear that this is an optional fight. He's not going to roll initiative until they decide to kick it off. The Shade Mother is making all kinds of offers about joining and, becoming part of the family, etc., 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 all kinds of evil stuff. But eventually they let off the signal to kick off that fireball. Combat kicks off, and there are some key moments here. For one, Fern has the single best round of combat that they've had in the entire campaign. The first thing that Fern does is cast Daylight, and this has the effect of illuminating the entire battle chamber. And because these creatures are subterranean creatures, much like Drow, Dark Elves, they are now going to have disadvantage on their attack rolls in direct sunlight. Now this is going to be a game changer for this fight, because the Slug Mother, I can't stop saying Slug Mother, the Shade Mother has a bunch of crazy abilities. She has this big stinger that comes out of her back, and it poisons people. And when they're poisoned, she can use her legendary actions to compel them to hit each other with kind of like a neural toxin mind control ability, which is just kind of bonkers. And she also has legendary resistances, and since they're fighting in her home turf, she's also getting lair actions at the top of every round. We also learn why Duggar was collecting Broomstone in this fight, because embedded into the thorax of the Shade Mother are these little blue stones, bits of Broomstone, and they glow, and she starts to levitate, because levitation, is a property of Broomstone. Fern, with a very good perception check, manages to spot Lady Emoth hiding in the corner, and Chetney, because he's invisible, sneaks up on her during combat and presses this amber little bauble into her chest and surrounds her in this sphere. They spend a lot of the fight, half the people fighting the Shade Mother, and half the people trying to get Lady Emoth out of there. When Ashton uses his superior strength to force Lady Emoth's prison through the entranceway so they can finally escape this fight with their prize, somebody has the good thought to snag up that purple crystal that the Slug Mother was so very interested in at the start of the fight. And now they're all fleeing. The party is fleeing the fight down towards the elevator that will take them to the surface. But the whole way, they're getting wailed on by shade creepers. They take a bunch of damage. Laudna goes down briefly. It's actually a little bit scary. They squeeze onto the lift and they rise up to the surface. When the party's up there on the surface, they have a bit of a debrief with the Green Seekers. They've got Lady Emoth trapped in this very visible orange sphere, and they're attracting a lot of attention because she's part of the upper echelon. She's part of the nobility. She's a recognized human. Well, ex-human, I guess. So people are going, hey, look at these people. Who are they? We don't know these adventurers. So this is the start of Hell's Bells getting a little bit of renown. The Green Seekers reveal a little bit about their motivations and their employer. They reveal that they were working for Mistress Shishadre, who the players suspect may be on the Shandai Quorum, one of the mysterious oligarchs running this city, and she has had a long-standing kind of disagreement with Armand Treshy. So she's hired the Green Seekers to investigate his goings-on and find any way to kind of incriminate him. I don't know if it's like a noble pursuit or if it's just like a personal vendetta that she's pursuing that happens to align with good and evil. Who knows? The party decides that rather than go with the Green Seekers to deliver this bounty to their employer, they're all going to head down for a night's rest at the Sit and Spin. Now, you will recall that the Soot and Swill is the place where Pretty the Ogre Chef works. This is the ogre that went on a simultaneous date with all three women in the party and then dumped them all simultaneously. So it's a little bit awkward, but I don't know, it's kind of fun to catch up. There's a whole bunch of shenanigans that happen here. I think the party has just had this pretty heavy situation, this dangerous situation, and the players just want to relax with a bit of levity for a bit. But there are two important plot points that happen. The first is that the party finally addresses the fact that fresh cut grass has been kind of glitching throughout this adventure at key moments in previous episodes and a few times during this episode. Fresh cut grass has started stuttering or repeating phrases or just generally not acting like his Ted Lasso self. By my diagnosis, Fresh Cut Grass is some kind of trauma bot. He helps people with their own issues and then also accumulates his own. And every time he has to recall this traumatic experience he's had with some kind of one-eyed monster, it does some kind of psychological damage to him. Now, the last time this happened, that Fresh Cut Grass noticeably glitched out, Matt said, "Hey, Sam, 2 points," and Sam wrote something down on his character sheet. These might be like insanity points or trauma points or some kind of homebrew system that they've designed for this itty bitty robot. But in this episode, the party, having noticed this issue, sit down with him and say, "Fresh Cut Grass, you can't just help everybody with their own issues. You've got to let us help you sometimes, and you've got to open up to us so that we can help you." But here is the second interesting thing that happens at this pub, because you recall they have this glowing purple stone that they stole from the Shade Mother. Oh, this is fine. Let's just cast Identify in this. Oh no, Fresh Cut Grass does not have the spell slots available to cast Identify in this. So it's clearly magical. That's okay. We'll just wait until tomorrow to find out what it is. Everybody have a long rest and we'll sort it out in the morning. But overnight, they've left this crystal with Imogen, and she wants to kind of peer deeply into it. This is very much like a Hobbit and the Palantir situation from Lord of the Rings. So she decides, with her psychic abilities, just to let down her walls, her mental guards, and open herself up to the crystal. And she gets all kinds of uneasy feelings from it. Something kind of warm and familiar, though. Something to do with transmutation, like changes and possibilities. And she falls asleep, cradling that crystal. Oh no. So this crystal probably has something to do with the transformations that people were undergoing under the guidance of the Shade Mother. It might even be the crystal itself that transformed the Shade Mother. It actually bears a resemblance to the kind of crystals that Ira, the Nightmare King, was working on. And in fact, when she sat down with the crystal, she was slightly reminded of the Nightmare King. The implication being that whatever the Nightmare King was trying to do with the crystals in his workshop, the thing that exploded and decimated the Moon Tower, the goal was to turn it from blue to purple. And maybe the Shade Mother is further along in that process. Everybody, thank you very much for watching this one. I'm so sorry that it's taken so long to make it. I didn't make this video immediately after the episode aired, and that was clearly a mistake because then the weekend got away from me, and it took me like 4 days to make it when normally I make these same day. But never fear, next week and this week and forever weeks, we're going to be doing it same day as Critical Role. All these people downstairs are my patrons. Thank you very much, patrons. I really appreciate the support. We've got more good stuff coming up on the channel, probably. I don't know. Click one of these. I'll see you later. Take it easy.